Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, or whatever time you're watching this. If you're watching the replay, we're so grateful to have you here. I'm Colleen O'Brien. This is Keryn S. Lee, and together we are the Two Unholy Healers. And welcome to this episode where we're going to be talking about divine timing, future readings, and energetic time travel. I don't know about you, Keryn, but I'm like, this is a lot to squeeze into a half. I hope we have enough time.
We've set ourselves a bit of a challenge here, haven't we, to try and because there are a lot of there's a lot of information that we could go into for each topic, but I guess at this point just to do a bit of an overview, and then we can always go deeper another time if we need to. So hello to everyone. Thank you once again for being here, for those who are here now and for those who join in later. So I'm really
say hi, leave a comment. Even if you're watching the replay, do let us know that you're here, because it's always a delight to have you here. Sorry to interrupt you there, Keryn.
Exactly. And also, like, questions, please feel free to drop questions in the chat now or later, because we keep an eye on that, and we love to interact with everyone in that way. But yes, I was going to say I'm really excited to do this live with Collean today, because she is like the master of time, the real life Doctor Strange. She just has so much insight into time. And I've got to say this, that while I have some different perspectives and some experiences of things around time, things like time travel and all of that have always done my head in a little bit, because I have one of my youngest son is
Hello, Peter. Thanks for being here.
My youngest son is like super smart when it comes to things like time travel and that, and he'll watch something on TV and to do with time travel, and he'll say, that couldn't happen, Mum, because blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, he's really got a handle on that, and I've got no clue. But energetically, I understand time travel when it comes to working with things like past lives or connecting with the future or that sort of thing. So energetically is a little bit different to understanding the physics of it, thankfully.
Yeah, the physics of time travel gets a little weird. Things, Euclidean geometry and Newtonian physics work really well in the macro world in your everyday life, but then when you get subatomic, things get a little crazy and fun, really. But it's theoretical, right? And we're talking here about our experience as energy healers, right? So it's great to really be able to understand all that, particularly if you're into science fiction or time travel novels, and you want to. So much of really great science fiction is based, has a foundation in science. They do take some leaps and some fictions, if you will, to make that leap so that it's a story as a fiction, of course. But there's been plenty of science fiction that does become science fact as well. So when you're extrapolating from something that is already known or is just theoretical, but with working with time as healers, we don't necessarily have to understand the math and the physics behind it, or even, well, we do have to believe that it's possible, and believe that what it is that we are asking to be shown or asking to change it is possible to change it, and then when we witness that change, that it happens. Yeah. So that's what's really great. And so when we talk about energetic time travel, I had said to Keryn before we started, because she had mentioned, oh, it's in one of the advanced classes. That's all the way in DNA 3. We do that. And I was like, we do energetic time travel all the time when we heal, right? Whenever we're asking for a change, whenever, you're working on a fear, you're like, well, when was the first time this happened? Or you're healing trauma, you're going back to that point of when it occurred, and you're asking Creator to heal that wound, and then bring that forward in time to where we are now. So, and then even with past lives, right? Or we're connecting to other ancestors, they happened in the past, at least from our perspective. So, we time travel all the time, and time isn't linear.
Absolutely. And I think that's the point of that conversation we had earlier, is recognizing that we do it all the time, but we don't necessarily call it energetic time travel. We're connecting with past lives, we're connecting with different thoughts, feelings, aspects, we're connecting with the future. which, yes, is a form of energetic time travel. And like I said, I think that's the point of this conversation today, to bring that into that awareness of, yeah, this is actually what we're doing. And that is amplified, I suppose, or I don't know the quite word, but whatever, in the DNA 3 class, where we specifically energetically time travel to a location in the future and a location in the past, etc. So I guess that's just a way to utilize those abilities in a very conscious way. But yes, we are actually doing it all the time. Even when we're thinking back to the past, we're kind of, we're accessing that, we're traveling back to that time. So yeah.
Right. And for your listeners, when we talked about the conversation we had earlier, you didn't miss it. Okay. Like Keryn and I, we warm up before we actually go live. So we talk to one another beforehand. And so, we just make sure we're on the same page. We catch up with what's been going on with one another for the last 2 weeks, so that you guys are eavesdropping on our conversation, of course, but you don't need to eavesdrop on the conversation of stuff that is outside the scope of the topic for this particular episode. Right. So that's what the conversation previously is that she referred to. So Keryn, is there something you want to talk about in terms of your experience in classes with future readings or divine timings? Or
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things around future readings, and a little bit with divine timing, is when working with students, is a lot of fear comes up when you say, oh, we're going to do a future reading now, guys, pair up, here we go. And like, you can feel the energy for some people, because they go into a lot of fear about, they're going to get it right. Or what if they actually see the future? What if they don't want to see the future? So it really brings up a lot of stuff for people.
And for those who are watching, like, how do you feel about seeing the future? Were you apprehensive about it? Whether you're watching this live now or on the replay, let us know. Like, how do you feel about looking at the future?
Absolutely.
Because you're right. Not everybody's really keen on it.
No. And in fact, I do know one lady who teaches Theta healing who doesn't actually do that exercise because it's brought up so much stuff for people before. I know.
Wow.
And here's the thing. My perspective is just give it a go and see what happens. And if it's not something that resonates with you, don't do it again. But learning that skill, and also clearing the blocks and the fears that you have about seeing the future, that just opens up that energy to you if it's something that you may want to access in the future, but I think everyone should have that opportunity to have a go at it, and perfect opportunity. If it brings up fears, hey, let's clear them.
Yeah, I find, and I sometimes even do this myself too, I'm worried I'm going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, well, so what if it's wrong? Right. Like, because so often, we say, oh, we're going to see the future. So then I'm going to have to make all of my decisions right now based on what that future is. And if it doesn't show up that way, then I'm going to be devastated. And it doesn't have to be that way. It could just be fun. Right.
Exactly.
So one of the exercises that I recommend for people to do, because it's like a muscle, right? You just got to practice. And the more you practice, the easier it's going to be. And the less big of a deal it's going to be. So pick something that is really low stakes, or that you're totally unattached to, but that happens frequently enough that you can do it often, and then just see the future. So maybe if it's like, like the TV news or some show that tapes regularly, just see the future, be like, hey, what color is the host going to be wearing tomorrow? And then because you can easily check that. That's the other thing. Not only is it something that's really low stakes and that happens pretty often, but it's something that you can verify pretty quickly, right? So you want it to be not that far into the future. And, so that's something that can just be really fun, because do you care whether you get it right or not? Do you care if he wears a different colored tie than the one that you saw? No. right?
Exactly.
So that's just one of the things that you can do. And, pick something that's going to be fun, right? You could do it with, like prices of crypto or something like that. But, if you're going to get too emotionally involved and like, oh, does it go up or go down? Or you're going to get into the roller coaster of like the economics and prices and stuff, then maybe that's not the thing to pick.
Yeah.
You want to pick
you've got money on it.
Right.
If you've got money
exactly.
on it, yeah,
exactly. But stats are a great thing too, like for sports or something like that. When I was working in a warehouse, I would do this all the time. Each shift, I would remember the future and be like, hey, what did I do? Because we were a team and you got a different position each, you knew, there was a certain number of positions. So you could kind of guess, oh, maybe I'll be there. Or, you might have a little bit of pull in terms of what you'd want to do versus what you didn't want to do. But I was still going to be going to that job and having to do something. So it wasn't like really like, oh, like I have to do this or it has to turn out this way. And like 100% of the time I was right. 100% of the time. Yeah. I mean, even when I would come in and I would look at the assignment board and my name would be next to a different one, I'd be like, oh, well, but you know what? Before we actually took our positions on the floor, they would always change my name next to the thing that I had seen.
Oh, wow.
And there were times when I couldn't see anything and I'd be like, why? I'm like, I'm not, what? Like it would just be blank. And then, a couple hours later before the shift would start, I would have the opportunity to take the day off. I'm like, oh, well, no wonder I didn't see what I did because I didn't do anything.
Wow. That's
so,
very
yeah,
cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And I think that gives people an idea of some of the very simple, basic things that you can do, use it for, rather than having these big stakes, or will I meet this person, or will I sell my house, or all of this, where there is emotion and attachment to all of that. But when you're doing, like you said, with just everyday stuff that doesn't really matter, that's a really good way to just sort of practice that ability, so that when you do tap into that bigger stuff, you have more faith in yourself and more trust in what you're doing.
Yeah. And I mean, the trick is to not to intentionally manipulate it so that you can be right as well, right?
Yeah.
Because I could have gone in, like there were sometimes I would go in and I'd be like, hey, where's my name? And then the I didn't even see it, but the boss would be like, oh, I've got you doing this today. And I would be like, I intuitively knew you were going to assign me there. But then there were other times where I'd go up and I'd be like, I was like, like I could ask him to switch me. Like I could ask to do something else. I could ask to do the thing that I saw, but that, that would be me manipulating it,
exactly.
And that's not the goal, right? The goal is to just get practice doing it. And if you're wrong, that's okay. Right. Like nobody gets it right 100% of the time. Like when you were learning to ride a bike, you didn't just get it right. You fell down a bunch of times. You had the training wheels on. You had your parent run behind you holding the back of it. So give yourself that space of, hey, I might get this wrong a lot, but if you keep at it, that's where
don't do it once and give up.
Right.
Don't do it once and give up. Keep going. Keep doing it, and
have fun with it. Because anything that you can make fun or make a game, like that's why, doing something that's low stakes. But if it's a game, right? Like maybe you bet like a penny or something with your friend in terms of, what color somebody's going to show up on the TV next, So, do whatever it takes to get over that fear of seeing the future.
And here's another thing in relation to time that I really like. We didn't put this one in the heading, but bending time. When you're doing something like, my favorite is the speed sleep, where you literally bend time so that you can have 2 or 3 hours sleep in 5 minutes. That's something that I have used a lot. It's something that I use if I have for some reason I can't sleep or something, and then I wake up, you wake up a lot during the night, or you can't get to sleep, haven't had a good night's sleep, and then you feel a bit tired the next day. Or if you have to get up really early, like a couple of times I've done instructor training with people in the US. So of course here in Australia, it like starts at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you have a day's training. And of course, like I've been pretty unimpressed about getting up at that time. But what I've done is use the speed sleeps and bend time before, and also if I need to, again, like at lunchtime, to just make sure that I feel rejuvenated and refreshed. So that is just a brilliant technique that works so well. I love it.
Yeah, and it's so simple I forget to do it. Like I remember and this was, well, actually I feel like it was part of my divine timing as well. The first time that I traveled to take a theta healing class, where I had to stay overnight somewhere other than just, being able to drive back home. It was a transatlantic flight. I actually flew from Philadelphia to London to take the class. And one of the people in the class was like, oh, would you, did you bend time on the flight? And I was like, no, I didn't even think to do that. Damn, that's brilliant. So of course I bent time on the way back. And then when I went to Australia a couple years later, I totally bent time on that. Cause that's like, between the time difference and crossing the international date line and how much time you're in the air, like you can really compress that so that it feels like it's a lot less time than is actually elapsing. And that's the whole beauty of bending time. But yeah, you can't do it all the time. I've done the speed sleeps back when I was acting. Particularly because a lot of times you don't have a great deal of turnaround time in between when you wrap and when you have to get back on set again. And I would sometimes be commuting from Philadelphia to New York. So I would have a 3-hour commute each way and then be on set for like 16 hours. There were sometimes I would only be home for an hour and a half before I would have to get back up and go again.
Wow.
So yeah, bending time and doing the speed sleeps was so important for that. But again, I would only ever do that 2 or 3 days in a row. Like you cannot make a lifestyle out of that. Yeah. But that is such a practical tool with time. Brilliant. I'm so glad you brought that up because the title was already long enough without putting.
We couldn't add any more in. So let's talk a little bit about divine timing, because this is a really interesting subject that, some people believe that, you're creating your reality moment by moment. And some people say, well, there's fixed points, etc. And, perhaps a combination of the two and so on. So there's quite a lot of discussion about that. And also, maybe if I just share my experience with divine timing. So the first time I did that was years ago in a the memory that I have of it that's quite significant is when I did it in the intuitive anatomy class that I did quite a few years ago. And I remember seeing some specific things. I remember seeing myself going to the States next year, actually. I wasn't sure if I was spot on with the dates, etc. But I have some other details around all of that as well. But I saw one specific thing. Well, I won't mention. That's my private business.
I think I might know what it is, but I won't tell you either.
You would know what it is. But the interesting thing is when I tuned into my divine timing just recently, within the last couple of months, that thing that I saw was no longer in the future. It had come so much closer. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And I was able to interact with that I could see myself interacting with it in my divine timing. So that thing that had been sitting out there maybe 5 or 6 years ago had now actually come much, much closer and it was still the same to some element, but I also got more information about it. So I really liked that. I really liked that it's like it made sense to me. It's like, yeah, there's that thing. Now it's almost here. It's closer. So yeah, that was very fun. So talk to us about divine timing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, first, I also want to acknowledge how the way that your perspective was that event of your divine timing was moving closer to you versus you moving towards it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, the effect
that's kind of backwards, isn't it?
Well, the effect is sort of the same, but there are some studies in terms of the way that we think. Do you stand still and time moves past you, or does time stand still and you move through it?
Yeah.
And, one is a little more passive and one is a little more active. So what I love about it coming closer to you is that you are in that mode of receiving. It's like, yep, like I'm aligned with it and I'm allowing it to come to me.
Yeah.
versus I have to go chase after it and make sure I do all the things and line everything up myself, and then it'll
Yeah,
be
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know if that was just the way you perceive something when you're visioning something, or when you're in that space of tuning into it. It's like, okay, it was here and now it's come closer. So yeah, how does that work? I don't know. You're the time lady. You talk.
Well, I mean, this was something I just thought everybody thought the same way that I did, right? And I think
Yeah.
there's plenty of instances. I mean, now I'm just kind of bombarded with it, like, so often with the way the world is now too, when it's just like,
Yeah.
what? Like, people say they're not going to do something, or they are going to do something, and it's just like, what? I didn't even think of it that way. How could
Yeah.
So it was one of those things that I wasn't even really aware of until I think it was a video by AP Science on YouTube that had, and I can't remember exactly what the term is, but it was how, the way that you approach time, or the way that you think about time, is, affects how your personality, even almost, and sometimes you do a combination of both, but there are people who, for the most part, will either move through time or have time move through them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I was really just floored by that. I was like, what? It could be a different way? Like, I never really even considered it could be the other way.
No, and this is one of the things I love about teaching theta healing too, because when you're doing a class with people and there's questions that come up about perhaps something that I haven't thought about, or someone seeing things from a different perspective, and it's like, oh wow, I never thought about that. And you learn so much as you're teaching, which is a wonderful thing. But yeah, like you're saying, you get that different perspective, and it just kind of opens things up for you. Like, wow, I never looked at it like, from that perspective before. So yeah. So have you had any interesting experiences with divine timing, like stuff you've tapped into yourself, or that you've heard, or seen someone else do?
Well, the thing that's coming to mind is, I don't know if you've taken the Game of Life class or not.
No, I haven't. No.
It's only available in person at the time that we're recording it. It's not one that's available online yet. I mean, there's plenty of theta healing classes that are available online now. But when I took it, there's this exercise where you actually will read somebody else's divine timing, which you can do. It's your right to see your own divine timing, and you're really the only one that can see all of it. If you only see slices of it, then of course, work on yourself and do more belief work as to why you're not allowing yourself to view all of it. But others can see slices of it. So in this, and then I forget what the name of the exercise was too at the end too, but we really kind of dialed it up where, you talk about things as if it had already happened, right? So it's sort of like a manifestation thing, but I really approached it as like an improv thing. Where somebody would say, like, hey, I just published my book, and then you would pile on and support one another. Be like, yes, and I just read the review in the New York Times. It was amazing, and it was on this bestseller list. And hey, how did you get Oprah to write the intro? And and so you just would have fun with it, but really be in that energy of it already happening. And in fact, my class, the first class that I took, we all continued that conversation on Facebook Messenger for days. It really stayed in that energy. So one of the things that I forget whether I had seen it or whether, but I remember talking about going to Australia as part of my divine timing. And so I took that class in October 2017. And in January 2019, I went to Australia. That's where I met Keryn, because I did the instructor's classes in Australia. And it really, I live in the United States. It would make more sense for me to, logistically, to just go to Montana in the United States, not need a passport to necessarily go and get my instructor's training. But I had tried for a number of different summers to go, and things just didn't line up. But then, and I wasn't even looking for international instructor's training. And it just kind of, came into, popped up online one time. I was like, hey, and it felt really good. And, all of the steps that I had to take, from buying the ticket to, making sure that I had the time to do it, and, lining everything up, holding my mail and all that stuff. it just flowed so easily. Like there was no
Yes.
stress, there was no worry, I wasn't even second guessing myself. I was like, yep, I'm going. Like I was already in that mode of like, yeah, this makes total sense for me to go to Australia. Of course I'm
Yes.
going to Australia.
And I think that's the thing with divine timing, because it does just kind of, you get into that flow and it feels good, but also it tends to be something bigger comes from it. And just the friendship that we've built over the past couple of years, and now this creation with the podcast, it's like it wasn't just that you went to Australia, you actually made contacts there, you met people there, and you have created stuff from that. So it wasn't just a singular experience, it was something that expanded later. And I think that's kind of something that can be quite significant to divine timing. It is those bigger the things that have something more than just your everyday stuff. Have you found
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I mean, and that really speaks to that divine timing is something greater. And it often is hand in hand with your life purpose or your soul purpose, if you will. That there is more to what you will do with it, and how the universe supports you for your divine timing, right? Like it sounds like it's the such dead simple thing, like, oh, it's just when you're in the flow and everything. And no, it's really in service of something that is really much, much greater. And so, it might seem small to you, but it really could, it makes a global, if not universal level impact when you are in your divine timing.
Yeah. And it may not seem big at the time. Like for you, it was just, well, not just, but you went to Australia, which was very cool, but you had no idea at that point what would come from that.
Like, I had definite ideas of what I wanted to come from that and how I wanted it to show up, and was really frustrated when it didn't. Like it took me an entire year from getting the instructor's training until I actually had a Theta healing class go to completion with students in it.
Yeah.
And I had never anticipated that. I just thought, no, like everything's flowing. Like I was already booking venues from Australia. I was, booking it from the future, because of course the United States is behind in terms of what time we say it is. And so that really sucked.
But that was the mind. Like that was
exactly that was me not allowing to. Yes.
So what flows, and we all do this, what flows is one thing. It unfolds like really in a really amazing way. It's the stuff you don't expect, which was perhaps our friendship, because who knew if weeks or months later if we would connect. Like it, oh yeah, we did. We stayed in contact. We have done so every month, and now every fortnight for that. But that's the stuff you don't expect. But it's when we put that expectation on it, like, oh, well, now that I've done this training, I can create a class. That's where our mind starts jumping in and expecting stuff to happen. So that's another energy that can be a component of this as well. But it's the stuff that you don't expect that is kind of where the gold's at, because that's the stuff that's connected to your divine timing.
Right. And we almost take it for granted, right? It's so easy to blame it on, oh, it's just not the right time, and use divine timing as a cop out. Oh, that's why it didn't show up. That's why it didn't work out. I wasn't in my divine timing. And that's one, it doesn't empower you to do that, to be in that stinking thinking mode. I can't believe I just said stinking thinking. Oh my God. But it is you've got to have a broader perspective of it. And that's where asking to see your divine timing, and even if you need to physically imagine yourself being brought higher into the seventh plane to get that bird's eye view, so that you can see where those ripples are and what that impact is that you have when you're in your divine timing, can really, really shift your perspective, so that you get out of that just using divine timing as a cop out, right? Because it's supposed to support you. It's a tool.
Exactly. So we are almost on a half hour now. So we've done pretty well fitting those like little snippets of all of that into half an hour. So let's just wind up with let's hear about what you got coming up, Colleen. What do
I have coming up? Oh, yeah. So the Money Mindset Mentorship. There are still slots available. If it is something that interests you, please do stop by my website for that information. I'll put that up here at the bottom. My website is colleanobrien.com. A lot of stuff's been coming up for me. Some really, really interesting things as well. And there is a video series too. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. So I've got that. I've got some classes coming up as well. I think I've got an advanced class online scheduled for next weekend. And again, you can go to my website to find that out. And of course, thank you all for everybody who has bought the book. And if you haven't bought the book, buy the book. It's Reasons You Are Not a Better Healer. And if you have bought it, if you have used it, do consider leaving a review. Because those are really, really powerful. And, you've bought stuff, you've read the reviews, so write a review that you would like to read. So that's what I got coming up. Thank you. What do you got coming up, Keryn?
I have some Theta healing classes, Dig Deeper, this weekend, and then You and Creator at the end of this month, and then Manifesting in Abundance. But these are in-person classes, so you need to be in Adelaide for those. I have some other stuff happening, but I don't have dates or anything, so I will leave that for now. But I will pop the book up, Secret Healers Business, available at Amazon, or also if you go to secrethealersbusiness.com, you will find links there to different places that you can purchase a book. So it's not only just for healers, it's for anyone really. I have people who buy the books who are not really interested in healing or healing others, but they have found that there is a lot of information in there that is really just relevant to daily life. So all of the tools that are, for healers in there is just stuff that you can actually utilize in your daily life as well. So that's what we've got happening at the moment. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We really appreciate it. And we have an awesome topic for the end of this month. Embracing your inner Lucifer. We can't wait for this one. We have some awesome ideas about what we're going to be discussing. And thanks, Jenny. Awesome books that were worth reading. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing
that will be on October 21st, Thursday morning in Australia is our next episode. If you're in the United States, that's going to be Wednesday evening, the 20th of October, about embracing your inner Lucifer. So we'll probably be giving you a little breadcrumbs and some more tidbits in terms of how that's all going to play out in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, we're really looking forward to that one. In fact, when we came up with that, we almost just jumped right into talking about that today. Yeah. We were so excited about it. So I'm looking forward to that. So thank you everybody for coming along. Thanks for the comments. We love that you're here. We love that you keep showing up. So that is today's episode about divine timing, future readings, and energetic time travel.
Awesome. See you later, guys. See you in 2 weeks' time. Bye.
Bye-bye.